Hey, rock stars. If you've been on the entrepreneurship journey for a while, you know this feeling. In all the interviews, in all the coaching calls, one truth kept coming up over and over again. Leadership is lonely. Business development is lonely. And entrepreneurship is lonely. You can't just talk to anyone about it. That's why I created the Catalyst Club, a private, values-driven community where you can speak the truth, be your authentic self, and connect with people who understand what you're going through and can actually help. We made it private so you feel safe. We made it affordable so no one gets left out. And we built it on values that matter, like showing up, sharing knowledge, and choosing growth over ego. Inside, you'll find coffee with rock stars for real talk and connection, unplugged Q&A for live coaching and clarity, and Catalyst sessions with world-class experts who light a fire under your next move. We're building the most supportive business community on the internet, and we want you to help us do it. Join us today at kellykennedyofficial.com. We're just getting started.
I see democracy being attacked. I see people suffering. I see the environment being trashed, being destroyed. And I'm making aircraft. Okay, they are very useful. I'm the first one saying they are very useful. I need to go to Brazil on aircraft, etc. Yep. But I have a lot of energy. Okay, I have a lot of passion. I have the conscience. I've been lucky to meet people who open my mind, to help me understanding where we are going, what we are doing. And I have the skills. I said, well, I need to do something with this. See, with all this opportunity, I don't do anything. One day I will look at myself and say, yeah, you could have done better.
The great Mark Cuban once said, business happens over years and years. Value is measured in the total upside of a business relationship, not by how much you squeezed out in any one deal. And we couldn't agree more. This is the Business Development Podcast, based in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, and broadcasting to the world. You'll get expert business development advice, tips and experiences, and you'll hear interviews with business owners, CEOs, and business development reps. You'll get actionable advice on how to grow business. Brought to you by Capital Business Development, capitalbd.ca. Let's do it. Welcome to the Business Development Podcast. And now your expert host, Kelly Kennedy.
Hello, welcome to episode 309 of the Business Development Podcast. And for this very special episode, it is my pleasure to bring you Raphael Cervan. Raphael is the co-founder and CEO of Sunbiose, and his journey is anything but conventional. Born in Brazil and now based in France, Raphael spent 17 years in the global aerospace industry as an aeronautical engineer, working on landmark programs like the Airbus A380, and later serving as chief engineer and new program manager for the A320 family. Along the way, he led international teams across 3 continents and collaborated with some of the world's most demanding industrial partners, mastering systems thinking, precision, and execution at the highest level. Then he made a very rare move. Driven by the question of what kind of world his children would inherit, Raphael walked away from a comfortable leadership role to build something that truly matters. Today, through Sunbiose, he is redesigning how energy is produced, shared, and owned, creating local, decentralized, renewable energy communities that generate economic value while strengthening social bonds and territorial resilience. This is not sustainability as a slogan. This is engineering discipline applied to impact. This is what it looks like when technical excellence meets moral clarity and refuses to compromise. Raphael, what an honor and privilege to finally have you on the show.
Hello, Kelly. I'm very honored to be here. And I know everyone says, wow, when they hear that. And actually, yeah, wow. Thank you so much for this description. I could not have done better myself.
It's really, really cool to have you on the show. And I want to speak a little bit to our relationship because you have been an incredible long-time listener of the show. I believe at this point we've been chatting back and forth for a couple of years.
Yes, probably yes.
Yeah. And when we started talking and finally met, I love to have listeners come on the show and maybe kind of share their journey a little bit with the BDP as well. And it's pretty rare that I get somebody like you who I know has been with us for so long. So I definitely want to spend a little bit of time there and hopefully how we were able to help you with Sunbiose. But before we get into that today, I want to just introduce the listeners to you. You've had an incredible career. You've made an incredible impact, around the globe. And you're based in France, which is super cool. We don't get a ton of people calling in from France. So that's the other side that's awesome. Take me back to the beginning, Raphael. You grew up in Brazil. Take me back to being a kid. Were you always this like entrepreneurial driven?
Not at all, actually. I was born in Brazil, and as almost every Brazilian boy, my dream was to be a soccer player. Okay. I played a few years actually in a team called Santos, which is the team from Pelé and from Neymar. So it's a quite known team. But yeah, it was not my career path. I was not good enough, at least not good enough for a Brazilian. But I have a very regular, I would say, childhood in Brazil. I grew up in a city close to the sea, so I was almost every time on the beach and taking and seizing the sun, and this is a very, very beautiful region of Brazil with rainforest, and I have always been very impressed by the rainforest in Brazil, which is so fantastic, so beautiful, so rich. And I was good in maths. I've always wanted to see the world. I've always wanted to get to know different cultures, different people. And so I decided to be an engineer, an aeronautical engineer. It's the guy who is dreaming and traveling, etc. And so that's how I end up as an aeronautical engineer. But today, I know that what really drive me that path was I really like to meet people, to understand people, and to share, get to know different people and cultures. That this is something that I love, and so this is how I end up as in this very international world, which is the aeronautical aerospace industry.
Take me into your time at Airbus, because I think that's super cool. I love airplanes. Like, if you don't know that about me, I love airplanes. I got airplanes all over the place. As a kid, one of my favorite things to do was to go to air shows with my dad. And to this day, I still love going to them. And I can't wait to take, my littlest son, Jet. I literally named my kid after an airplane. So there you go. His name is Jet.
Okay. Hey, you're more than a fun than I am.
Yeah. So I love aircraft. I love aerospace. Airbus is such a leader in aircraft around the world. Some of the most technologically advanced aircraft in the world for civilian transport. What was it like to work for Airbus?
Actually, it was a dream coming true, because when I decided to be an aeronautical engineer, I was around 15 years old. And so I started preparing myself to one day be able to go to France and work for Airbus. So I started learning French, because I don't come from a French family. And that's why I decided to do those studies, which is not easy to do in Brazil, because we at that time we only had 2 schools that offered this diploma. So I really needed to work hard together, and I eventually did. And so it was really fantastic, because this is we are working for the world leader, right? So these guys are the best. They have been doing the best aircraft for 50 years now. Fantastic aircrafts like the Concorde, the A380, A320, etc. And I have met a lot of wonderful people. And what I really enjoyed at Airbus is that you have people from everywhere working in there. So I've met people from India, from Australia, from America, from South America, from Europe, etc. And so this is kind of a very rich experience, because you meet people that don't have the same background as you. They don't have the same life that you have had, and they don't have the same culture at all. So they bring you something that you don't have, and of course you give them something that they don't have. And so for me, this is the richest thing you can have at Airbus. It's not only technical good people, but it's also people from everywhere. And I'm really, really convinced that the diversity is something that improves the words are missing. They improve the way teams work together, and they boost the way you can create. We are more creative. We are more open-minded when you are in this kind of diversity environment. So it was really fantastic, and I have been very lucky because I've worked almost every aircraft they used to manufacture, for the A380, A330, A320, some military applications as well. And I've spent 10 years in the design office. So 10 years doing really technical stuff. So really getting into the details, understanding properly how everything works, how we integrate it. And as you said, I got the chance to work with in the propulsion side. So I've worked with teams like Pratt & Whitney, General Electric, Rolls-Royce. And so these guys are top leaders in the world. So really very nice people, but also very skilled engineers. So I've learned a lot in this industry.
Man, I admire engineers around the world. Like, it is absolutely incredible, the stuff that you guys are able to do. I look at a system like an A380, a civilian transport jet or something like that, and just how many things have to go right. For that thing to even work. It absolutely blows my mind. If you don't mind, I'd love to just pick your brain a little bit, just because I'm a nerd and I want to know.
We are both.
How do you integrate so many systems together in a way that just works? Like, I look at just everything that has to go right, for instance, for a turbine engine to actually function. That just one thing going wrong can blow the whole thing to pieces.
Yeah,
right?
That's not true. That's not true.
Is it not true? Okay, interesting. Maybe that's just what I always thought.
Yeah, we work. Actually, we work on a way that if something happens, it cannot blow up an aircraft. Okay, that's how everything is designed. So it's not only how we designed for it to work, but how we designed for it to work as a probability of something that should not happen won't happen in the entire life of aircraft. If the consequence, for instance, is something that's the loss of the aircraft, if there's one single failure that would lead your aircraft to crash, this cannot happen. Okay, so we have to have redundancies, so etc. Whatever, in order to make this not happen. But to answer to your question, I think this is the main lesson I bring from this experience to my entire life, is that you have to do a good work. You need quality. Okay, you need to have specification. Things must be clear. It's not only having a mission and a vision. You also need to have all the process that allow you to work with all these suppliers around the world, and doing something that at the end will work together. And we work together in a safety level that nothing can happen if nothing bad can happen if something goes wrong. Of course, things can go wrong, and I've seen that, but very often those things that when they go wrong, the system is designed so the safety of the flight is guaranteed.
Wow. How are you able to forecast all of the probability of things that could go wrong in order to plan for it? It sounds like a really challenging job.
Very smart guys, they do that for as a living. I mean, this is their main missions. They need to understand how the systems work, what are the failure modes that can happen, and then they need to calculate what would be the consequences of the failure, and what is how often it can happen. I mean, what's the probability of this happening? And then if the frequency is too high or the consequences are too bad, then you need to take a decision. Decision can be a design change, or can be just we put in place some maintenance, or you put in place an alarm, etc., etc. And then you design your system so the the aircraft is always safe.
Wow.
And this is the main mention of the chief engineer. So the chief engineer is the guy that's taking the decisions, choosing design, etc. But as chief engineer, and this is very strong at Airbus culture, is that you are the first one and you are the main one responsible for the safety of every people flying on Airbus aircraft. And so this was for me the most important mission on that job.
Wow. Well, on behalf of everybody who's ever flown Airbus, thank you so much for for the incredible hard work.
And they keep doing good work.
Yeah, man. I don't hear of a lot of Airbus challenges, so I think, congratulations, Raphael. Pat yourself on the back, man. I think you I think you may have protected a lot of people.
I hope so. That was the job.
Yeah.
The job was the main mission of the job, and hopefully, I mean, we have had some difficulties, but we have reacted. Especially engines. Engines can be very tricky.
Yeah,
but that's part of the job, and so it's very important. Aerospace, it's an industry where you cannot drive a company only through finance. Okay, it's a very technical industry, and sometimes you need to hear the technical stuff and say, okay, the choices we are making, maybe they're good for the business, but they might not be the best ones from a technical standpoint, and that can have consequences. And consequences in aeronautics can be very, very dramatic.
Yeah, like you have to be putting people first at the end of the day, every decision.
Exactly.
Wow.
For me, this is true for every business, but in aeronautics, this is very, very clear.
It should be true for every business. I'm not sure that it is, but it should be. I agree. But definitely in a situation where lives are truly at stake.
Yes.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah.
That's amazing, dude. Bring me into, we talked a lot about your time at Airbus, but bring me into that transition from Brazil to France. Because, I imagine that was a bit of a culture shock for you.
Actually, yeah. I mean, I've always dreamed of being to Europe. I mean, I'm from a European family, right?
Okay.
And I needed to go see what were the origins of my family, how they used to live, etc. So my grandmothers, they came to Brazil from Italy. Actually, they were like refugees, so what we would call them today. One of them was 3 years old. She didn't know her parents, and she only knew a kind of place where she grew up, where she was born, actually. And my Spanish side of the family flew from the dictatorship in Spain. And so I wanted to come and see all this, I want to feel what was for these people, imagine what was to move from a country to another one in the beginning of the 20th century without knowing everything, etc. And so I started preparing myself actually. So when I decided to come to France, actually I came as a student to do a master's degree, say, okay, I will spend 1 year in France. Let me see how it works. And eventually I come back to Brazil or whatever. So it's been 18 years now.
Wow.
So everything worked very well. I love this country. People are very, very nice in France. I think people are very open-minded. Then can be really, actually for a Brazilian, for a South American or Latin guy, it's maybe colder in the beginning, but they are very, how can I say that? They are genuine people, okay, when they like you, okay? Sure. It's not like just to say. And so I felt in love with French culture, with French language, with French dishes and cuisine. You should try if you haven't.
Yes.
Very good things to eat here. I love this country. I love the culture, everything. And it felt home since I arrived. So yeah, I made a lot of friends, and it started. I did my master, then I find my job, started working at Airbus. Everything was nice, and so that's how I've been here now for 18 years. Of course, I've met my wife. That helps, and now I have my family here actually. So this is where I belong. I feel more French than Brazilian today. But yeah, I was 25 years old, and it was kind of a shock because I come from Brazil. It's a different culture in Brazil. Actually, I came from a family that has some. I don't come from the very popular side of the country. I can say I'm a privileged one, and so I have some things I have access in there that I don't have here because the countries are different, right? And so it's a way of growing up. I mean, I have left my parents' home when I was 17. This is already something nice. But moving from your country when you are 25, I arrived in France. I have a bag. That's all I had.
Wow.
So it's a way of opening your mind. It's a way of seeing different things and growing. I mean, I'd say growing. So it was a fantastic journey for me.
I've had the pleasure of interviewing so many newcomers, specifically to Canada, not to France, but it never ceases to amaze me, that people will pack up and just hop into the unknown. I know with entrepreneurship, we do that a little bit, but to me, moving countries feels like the ultimate jump into the unknown. I've interviewed people, Raphael, who didn't even speak the language when they landed here. And so not only do you have the language barrier, you have a cultural barrier, you have what kind of job can you apply for without the communication? Do your certifications even hold up in this new country? Man, it never ceases to amaze me the bravery of people who immigrate to different countries. And right back at you, man. Like, I can't imagine what that would be like. Did it scare you?
No, not at all. I mean, when I was 30 minutes from taking the aircraft, yes. But eventually, when I landed, I was there, so I need to make things happen. But I mean, I cannot compare to a lot of people because I made that choice from a very comfortable way. I mean, I already used to speak French. I mean, I had an engineering degree. I knew I would find a job, etc. It's quite different from people that move because they don't have a choice, and that can be with children, etc. Can be very, 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 very scary.
Of course,
it was not the case for me because I knew I had 1 year to spend in France. I had some money I have put in place to be able to do that. So I was quite comfortable way for doing that. And so when I arrived, actually, I realized that school would be very easy to me because I was already an aeronautical engineer. So I was taking a kind of master just to be here.
Yeah.
And so I decided to take 1 year to really get to know people in France. And so this was very much more personal, cultural improvement or growthness or whatever than academical one. And so I spent a very fantastic year. My first year in France was really, really, really nice one. And that helped because I went out, I met people, I met people from everywhere. I met a Canadian guy who's from Edmonton, where I
cool.
Say hello to Logan.
Hello.
I don't know if he hear you, but Logan, it's a good friend. He's back in Canada now.
Okay.
And so, so it was fantastic. It's like, I don't know if you know the Erasmus program in France.
No.
Erasmus. It's kind of when you're a student, you need to spend 1 year in a different country than yours, and that's the Erasmus program. So I take mine. I take my Erasmus year in France as a Brazilian arriving from France. It was so wonderful experience, and it's like entrepreneurship. I think you did the good link because it's jumping to the unknown. But it's always a good surprise. You have always something good in the path. So even, of course, it was not easy all the time, but you always had some different experience that bring you something that you would not have had if you had stayed where you were. So the path is fantastic. I think it's a very useful one, and I would really encourage people that are kind of curious. I mean, I don't know if sometimes we don't know what we want to do after school and before starting working. And why not take 1 year of CSUR and go see the world? I think it's a very good way of getting to know yourself better. And I know much more about myself since then because I moved. And so I was obliged to open myself. I was obliged to adapt. And this is always I think it has been very important on my path to become an entrepreneur.
Amazing. You know, you have a very unique perspective, I think, as somebody who didn't necessarily grow up in France with regards to the culture difference. Because I think sometimes, like, when people will ask me, can you define Canadian culture? It's like, it's a little bit hard to define, I think, because I grew up in it. I know no other culture. So in order to be able to like really put the pins on what's different is very hard. But I think for someone like you, I mean, I feel like I can ask that question. What would you say defines French culture, French business culture? I think you might be able to have two different perspectives. And so on that level, be able to better define what you noticed as a difference. Would that be a fair statement?
I don't know because that's all I know. But what I can tell you, there's this expression in French that we say prends du recul, so take a step back. It is true, and it's true for both sides. I mean, I understand much better Brazil today, living in France and seeing from France, and I can see much better some things as well in France coming from Brazil.
Sure.
And sometimes say, okay, guys, you are right. You should never give up on that because in Brazil we did, and I know how it ended up. For instance, yeah, maybe you can say that, but I'm not sure. I mean, France, especially France, it's a very rich country. It's a small country, but with a lot of different cultures. And I can say I know very well the culture of the southwest of France, but I cannot tell you I know the culture of northeast of France.
Sure.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Because it's different. And I don't think any French can. Okay. So how rich the difference of culture are in this country. So this has been also something that was a surprise for me, because from Brazil it's not that way. Maybe in Canada it's the same because they have things, the colonization, etc. So one only culture that has been imposed to a big country. In France, they had the time to develop its small ones, and so sometimes I ride for 100 kilometers, and you have different wine, you have different food, you have different cheese, even different language.
Wow.
Okay. And different architecture and different history. And so that's fantastic. Yeah, actually, you can stay in a country and travel for 10 years and still discovering new things.
Wow.
That's fantastic.
Wow. Yeah, Canada is maybe very similar to that. Although I would say Canada is kind of split in two. If I want to say what it is, I know there's a lot of Canadians who would maybe disagree with me on this, but I would argue that Western Canada and Eastern Canada operate quite differently. And I have spent time in both. I've spent time in Halifax. Eastern Canada is absolutely beautiful, but they operate at a different pace than Western Canada does. But it's a huge country. We're talking I think 5,000 or 6,000 kilometers coast to coast. It is a long drive. I can tell you, it's days and days of driving to go from one side to another. But
it's like coming to Russia from France.
But it is interesting because, right smack dab, sort of in the middle of Canada towards the east is Quebec, right? Which is pretty much a fully French-speaking, you could almost say independent country. It's a province, but it's really its own little world. They even have their own rules and stuff. They've really kind of negotiated their own space. But if you go from let's call it Manitoba west to British Columbia, I think most of the people are very similar, speak the similar language, understand the similar terms. But it's once you get the Eastern Canada, it's a whole different world. And actually, if you get all the way to Newfoundland, I love the Newfie accent, but they speak differently than we do. Very differently. It's a very, if they don't slow down, I don't get it.
Okay.
So yeah, totally understand what you mean about how you can have different things in a short, I think maybe in France, it's even a shorter distance before you start to experience the difference in culture.
Yeah, coming from Brazil, I remember I could make 1,000 kilometers. Everything was the same names, the same environment, etc. In France, everything changed. As I said, you're 100 kilometers, you are in the mountains or in the sea, or you have this wine etc. So yeah, it was very surprised to see so much diversity again on such a small country. And also in terms of culture, that's always something that has really interested me. From a business standpoint, what I can tell you is that I'm not in Paris, okay? I'm speaking from Toulouse, south of France, and Paris is a different world. Okay, you have Paris and have the rest in France, actually. Sure. In Paris, everything goes much quicker, much faster, so much more money, much more opportunities, etc. So most of the business are very often based in Paris, okay? I would say the environment is much more profitable. I'd say much more. It's easier to succeeding there, but I'm not there. I don't want to be there. I want to make somehow that everyone in this country, in every country, can take benefit of the economical growth and progress of humanity. So it's a choice to not be there. But it's true that in France it's much easier. It's much more. I don't know how it works in Canada. This is something that has also had also. In the beginning, I was surprised to see that it's so centralized in France. Paris is, it's so big and important city in the world that I think they get all the light in France, and it's much more complicated somewhere else. But yeah, we can also do very good things in the countryside of France, if I can say country.
Yeah, and it's amazing, even for Canada, how much Toronto gets the light, Vancouver gets the light, the cities of Edmonton and Calgary, right? Calgary, the greatest outdoor shore on earth. But the reality is most of Canada is country, just like you. Most of Canada is small towns and very small cities and countryside as far as you can see. Out where I live in, Spruce Grove, Stony Plain area, you're out of town in 2 minutes in any direction you go. And you could drive for hours through the country in either direction. And then obviously we have the mountains, about 3 hours in either direction.
That's nice.
Yeah, it's beautiful. We don't get to them enough. I think that's maybe the sad part about being Albertan is I think we get tied up in our work a lot and then trying to get away. You might see the mountains a couple times a year if you're lucky, but it's crazy because literally at any given day you could drive 3 hours and spend the day in nature, like true nature.
Yeah, and we should do this more often.
Yeah, probably should. Yeah. Quick pause here, and thank you for tuning in and supporting the show. I want to recognize Hyperfab, a Canadian precision fabrication company built by the team behind Hypervac Technologies, supporting projects in both Canada and the United States. They focus on high-quality sheet metal, fast turnaround, and solving complex fabrication challenges when it matters most. Hyperfab is proud to be our title sponsor for 2026. Thanks for listening. Let's get back to the show. But, one of the things I wanted to ask you was, you obviously came across my show. So, our first kind of introduction was, hey, Kelly, I found your show and I'm really enjoying it. Talk to me. How did you come across finding the BDP?
Okay, that's a very good question because it allows me to make the link between the time as I moved from Airbus to become an entrepreneur. So I decided I quit Airbus end of 2023. Okay, I have been working on Sunbiose projects for a while, doing the night, doing when I was not working, etc. And then I had a good idea of what I wanted to do and what I thought market needed. Okay. And then I started an incubator in Toulouse, and they told me now you need to go see the market and you need to go discuss with people and see if your value proposal is the good one. How do you do that? Okay, you need to call people and meet people, etc. And but remember, I'm a technical guy, I'm an engineer guy, I'm not a commercial guy. I have never done that before. And so I start trying. It didn't work. A lot of people refused to see me. It was not easy because you come from aeronautics, you're talking to me about communities, whatever. I don't see the link, so this guy is lost. I don't want to discuss with him. And so I started, doing what I've always done. Well, I need to learn. So I look at internet and, I need to learn about business development. And so I was looking for material. And eventually I had to do 3 hours of road alone. I said, I look for a podcast and I find yours. And so I give it a try because I always wanted to, as well, I wanted to keep my English. I used to work in English. And since I left Airbus, it was no longer the case. Said, I want something in English. I want something different. And I want something not from France. I want to see something different. And I came across with your show. I heard the first episode. I heard the entire road trip, your episodes. I loved the of course what you share. It's a lot of value. It was really interesting. You have very practical tips. Like I didn't know a CRM exists.
Sure.
So what CRM, how you use it, how you contact the guys, you need to have a packet, etc., etc. But also very step back thinking, if I can say like that. What's your vision? What's the idea you want to sell? And so I just listen a lot of them. I really like your English. It's easy to understand. It's really clear the way you speak. So it was really easy to understand. And so I came out, no, I need to write to this guy. He's just fantastic. He's doing all this for free. It's fantastic. So that's what I did. So that's how, that's when I wrote to you. And I've been listening to your shows a lot. I haven't listened to all 308 yet, but most of them, I have listened to them, and thank you. I've told you a couple of times at least. Now I do it publicly. Thank you very much, because it's very kind. I mean, it's not the good word kind, but you are giving a lot to people, and I'm sure that you contributed a lot to my personal path with Sunbiose, because I started putting in place what you were saying, and it started working. And so give me some confidence. And today I can sell almost everything. I can sell everything that I believe on. That's a good, that's for me, that's enough. And so it's kind of you, it's because of you. It's thanks to you and to your show. And so, for me today, it's a pleasure to be here because it's an honor. I mean, the guy has been teaching me everything. Now he's asking me questions. Yeah, thank you so much, Kelly.
So cool. It's so cool. And I value our relationship deeply, Raphael. I've enjoyed every conversation we've had, every perspective difference we've been able to kind of chat about. I just think it's so neat to be able to speak to somebody in France from Canada and really have so much in common with them. Like we're on a lot of the same journeys together, which is really interesting about entrepreneurship. I think it really opened my eyes, this show, to how much we are all the same, no matter where we are in the world, as business owners, as entrepreneurs, as leaders. We're all facing the same challenges. It surprised me, really, because I don't think I thought that going into the show. I thought, business has to be different in France. Business has to be different in Germany. It's got to be different in UAE. And it's just not. It's just not.
No.
People are people everywhere around the world. And dude, I would have been happy to have had somebody in Calgary listen to me when I started this show 300 kilometers down the road. To have people in France, in Germany, in Europe, in Africa, in UAE, around the world, it just blows my mind to this day. So thank you, like from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.
I thank you, and I think that's what I liked a lot on the way you present your the role of a business developer. For me, it was really this commercial guy who wants to sell you everything, take all your money and whatever. And you bring me this view that actually this is a very human role. I mean, you are trying to solve a problem for someone. That I can do. That I'm an engineer. I can do that. I can't sell anything useless to anyone. I can't do that. I will never do that. But I can sell something that will really improve the life of someone. And that's what you teach me with your show. And that opened completely my mind because I say, okay, now I can do that. I can do. And this is because I have a different view of what's a business developer. And this is thanks to you, really. And so it was for me, at that moment I say I can be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Okay. It had been difficult. I think everybody knows how difficult it can be.
Mm-hmm.
But I was still, can I do that? Really, can I really do that without hurting my own deepest values? Yeah, I can because Kelly told me that actually all you're doing is proposing someone to solve his issues or her issues, of course.
Yeah. Yeah.
So thank you so much for everything you have shared with us all these years.
Oh, it's my pleasure, man. It's my pleasure. I set out to change business development, and it's conversations like this that show me that I'm slowly accomplishing that goal. I still look back to being 23 years old and, coming out of my boss's office after he asked me, Kelly, would you do business development? And literally just going back to my computer and Googling it, Raphael, because nobody had ever told me about it. Nobody had ever taught me anything. And I found almost no information on it on the internet. And I just remember being like, how is it possible that there's this very important position in nearly every company and there's no materials for it? It just blew my mind.
I understand it. Yeah.
But yeah, it's cool. It's cool. I think I set out to make an impact. And like I said, it's conversations like this that show me we are making an impact. I want to take that now and just thank you. Thank you for that. And I want to lead that into your jump because, dude, you had an incredible career at Airbus. You're changing the world. You're saving lives. You're creating amazing things. And you chose to be an entrepreneur, man. Walk me through that because you had to have been doing pretty darn good. Walk me through the decision to make the jump to entrepreneurship. It couldn't have been an easy one.
Actually, it was an easy one. Because I would explain you why. At the moment when I decided to do it, it was easy. But it took me years and years to arrive at that moment. Today, I know myself much better than I used to know when I was 20 years old. And so, as I said in the beginning, what really drives me is make something better than my time, okay? When I meet someone, what I would like to know at the end of the time we spent together, that you have learned something, I have learned something. You have something better than you, I have something better than me. And so it's like, I really like winning situations. And I know that's how you see business. And that's also one thing that has pleased me on your approach. And so, I was doing great. I have this great job. I was traveling all around the world, doing fantastic aircraft, something that I have always dreamed on. But it was not enough anymore. Okay. Meanwhile, I become a father. You are a father. You know how everything changes when you have children. Everything changes. And I've always been in love to this planet. I just love this planet. I love the sea. I love the oceans. I love the mountains. I love the forests, etc. And so I see everything around going nuts. Okay. If I can use this term, I see democracy being attacked. I see people suffering. I see the environment being trashed, being destroyed. And I'm making aircraft. Okay, they are very useful. I'm the first one saying they are very useful. I need to go to Brazil on aircraft, etc. Yep. But I have a lot of energy. Okay, I have a lot of passion. I have the conscience. I've been lucky to meet people who open my mind to help me understanding where we are going, what we are doing. And I have these skills. I said, well, I need to do something with this. See with all this opportunity, I don't do anything. One day I will look at myself and say, yeah, you could have done better. Okay. And I'm not driven by money, by success, by etc. I want people to feel better than they used to be before they met me. Okay, and so I start saying, how could I help better this world? How could I do better? So I started trying to do better to myself. Okay, so understanding what drives me really, what can I bring to the world? What could be my contribution? What I'm good at? And so everything was going on in my mind at the same time, etc. And said, okay, well, changing jobs will not happen because I go to whatever company, have this huge company, they will impose the way of their values, their vision, etc. So if I want to do something different, I need to create it on my own. I won't be happy anywhere, except if it's really fitting my values and my vision. And so I said, okay, I need to create a company. So how will we do that? And so I went back to school. I spent 1 year doing a master's degree in entrepreneurship, doing my career at Airbus, etc. And then COVID came, and COVID make a lot of people change. I think I've heard a lot of histories on your show.
Yeah, it's
about
amazing.
COVID.
It's amazing how many people started businesses in COVID.
Yeah, I didn't start at COVID because I was not ready. I said, that's a pitch, I'm not ready. So I will be ready for the next opportunity.
Yeah.
And next opportunity happened 2 years after. And so when the opportunity came, I jumped. As you said, Ons, I didn't jump. I just put the deck on fire. So I jumped to the boat.
Burn the boats.
Yeah. And I would say that the main inspiration was my wife. My wife, she's an expert in chemicals. Okay. And she used to work for 10 years for the chemical industry and helping them to put into the market some products. Okay. And these products can be dangerous. Okay. And she moved from this to NGO that today fights against chemical pollution.
Oh, wow.
Earning a third of she used to make before. And she was really an inspiration. I said, okay, this is an example. She's doing all her best to make this world better, even if that means at a short term that she won't make enough money. But one day, I don't know, in 20, 30, 50 years, she will be able to look at the eyes of her children and say, I did what I could.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, that's the most important thing in the world, is that my children look at me and say, okay, he tried, he did whatever he could. And we are not ashamed of him. We are proud of him.
Yeah.
For me, that's what's the most important thing.
Wow.
So that's why I jumped.
Yeah.
When you put all this together, you say, yeah, it's an easy one, actually, choice to make.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to look at your kids and tell them you did nothing, isn't it? Yeah, I agree.
It can be.
I had a moment earlier this week where I had a little bit of a meltdown. We were watching like it's called One Life. I don't know if you've seen it yet, but it's a Netflix movie. It's Anthony Hopkins. It takes place during the Holocaust, and it's quite horrible. And obviously there's a point in that movie where there are parents saying goodbye to their children. They're putting them on a train. They're sending them out to England at the time, actually, trying to get them out of harm's way. And I remember just thinking, like, I can't, like, it's something that as a dad, now I can connect with. I could never connect with before. So this is why I'm saying, like, becoming a father is a big deal. in the way that you can relate to the world, because I think before you can understand how horrible that is, but you can't feel how
No, you can't
horrible
feel
that
exactly.
is. But when
Yeah,
you become a dad, my
yeah.
God, can you feel it? It's
I
no
can't
longer a
see
mind
anymore
thing, it's
those
a
kind of
full
change.
body
Yeah,
thing, right?
yeah.
And yeah, so I know exactly what you mean. It's
It's on
like
your guts, actually. You can, yeah, I understand
it
properly.
changes you completely.
It changes everything. I
Yeah.
mean, it changes everything when you become a parent.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, today I work much more than I used to work, but I'm more present as well because I'm very often at home. And yeah, my children, they are very proud of what I do.
Yeah.
When they explain here in Toulouse, most of people say my parents do aircraft.
Yeah.
They say something different, and that's very, yeah. And for me as well, I don't know how it was in Canada, but in Brazil, in the 80s, in the 90s, when you're a kid, actually you must do all your best in school, get a job, and get rich. Because the parents and the generations before, they struggled.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what I learned. So that's what I did in the beginning of my life, right? My life. And my children, they are more lucky. I mean, they are in better situation in France today than my parents were in Brazil 50 years ago. And I didn't want them to learn that, yeah, your life is get a job and make money and that's it.
Yeah.
No, your life is do whatever you want. Your life is to be happy. And if you can, make people happier. And that's what I try to do today, simply. Is to give them, okay, guys, do whatever you want as well, as long as it's better for you and it's better for the world.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not sure that I truly understood legacy until a few years ago. And I realized that it's not just about doing something you like or doing the thing you're good at. Or I think at the end of the day, every single one of us wants to leave a positive legacy behind us, right? I think for many of us, that is our kids, right? Like our kids are the greatest legacy that we leave, period, no matter what we do. But ultimately, I want my work to matter, right? And I know you do too. And I think so much of entrepreneurship is about doing something that matters.
I completely agree with you. I mean, you spend so much time, so much energy on trying to do what we do that your only motivation cannot be only the money you make at the end of that road.
Yeah.
And as I very often say to people who asks me, how was it? Was it difficult? How would we suggest me to start a business, etc.? What I tell them is that I don't know. I don't know. It's still on the road. I don't know what will happen at the end. But actually, I almost don't care because the road is there's so much opportunities on this road that whatever happens in the end, I think it's already beneficial. You know what I mean? At least I know that I know myself much better than I used to do before. So that's something that's a very advanced as a person. And so that's what I say. Entrepreneurship, yeah, it's a road. It's the most important one. And let's see what happens in the end.
To me, the greatest gift of entrepreneurship is that for the first time in your life, I think you have like 100% reliance on yourself. I don't think before being an entrepreneur that I ever truly, I don't know whether it's like truly believed or like thought I could look after myself 100%. Like I think as an employee, it's like, they're going to figure it out, right? They're going to keep this business going. I just got to show up and do my job.
That's not my problem on Friday night.
But I think taking that leap into entrepreneurship and for truly the first time in your life saying, I am responsible for everything. Yeah. That's the greatest gift. That's the greatest gift because for the first time in your life, it actually shows you can. You absolutely can.
And it's the most frightening one as well.
Yes, and the most frightening one as well. Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
But I do agree with you. This is the main gift, and and you need to do it. It's like becoming a father,
Yeah.
You can imagine what is, but you don't know until you become one.
You don't know until you know.
The same. Yeah.
I love it, Raphael. Okay. Bring me into Sunbiose. What are you doing? What is it? Let's tell the world.
Okay. Well, Sunbiose, actually, so it's a personal story. I wanted, as you understand, to do some impact. So I did not create a company and then try to see how it could make some impact. I wanted to create impact, so I created a company to do that, okay? And this is Sunbiose. So doing my thinking, investigations, or whatever we call it, trying to understand how I could be useful, I said, okay, there are a few topics I would love to work on. Energy is one of them, and energy is very close to what I used to do at Airbus. I mean, I was doing aircrafts, but we understand complicated systems, the system design, system operation, etc. And so I said, okay, I do something in energy now, but I cannot be just one guy putting solar panels in a roof. That would be not enough for me. I really need challenging things. I'm not saying it's not complicated. I'm saying just I want to create something different,
Sure,
something new. And so I came up with this model. Okay, the European Union has created a directive saying that people now can organize themselves. They can produce their own electricity, share among them however they want, or whatever are the rules. They are free to decide, and that's fantastic. Why? Because energy is the key of civilization. Okay, and today energy is still owned by very few people.
Yeah.
Roughly the big oil companies. So they own the energy, so they have a lot of power, and so they have a lot of they can do whatever they want. Okay, and when you put in place a kind of this decentralized system, you give power back to citizens, to everyone, to you and I. And so I love this concept. So I started working with them. I did a master's degree on the economical models of these companies, of these communities, and a lot of different business models, but none of them are really replicable. They cannot be put into scale. They are not scalable. And so it depends on a few people having a lot of energy and make everything happen. As I said, that's a pity because this is a fantastic model. I want it everywhere. And so this is Sunbiose. I created Sunbiose so we can industrialize, that's the word, local communities, local energy communities. So everyone can create one or join one, whatever he or she is in France, even the countryside, and not only the big cities. So this means that it's very complicated to put something in place when it's collective. So we have all these governance aspects, so the legal aspects, etc. Then you also need to be able to calculate how we share the energy.
Yeah.
Okay, you have 2 kilowatt hours, how we spread it among people. What are the rules for that? So you have all this technical engineering stuff. So this loyal stuff. And then you also have, you be a commercial. Okay, you need to go see your neighbors and tell them about this project, how you sell energy, etc., etc. And so very often people don't have all these skills. And so the projects, they remain small, or they are created with people that like each other, but it doesn't happen. I mean, it's like, how can I say that? It's like a Tinder, you cannot match with anyone.
Yeah.
You have to find the good people. So
that's right. Yeah.
If you want to create a community together, you and I, and say, okay, Kelly, I have a lot of energy, I will sell to you, but I only have energy at 2:00. And then but you at 2:00 you're in the office, you cannot take that energy, so it doesn't work properly. So we have all this complexity that we need to solve, and also you have the financial aspects, because meanwhile, French government has decreased every politics they used to put in place to help green energy to develop, and so it becomes more and more difficult to raise money to fund these projects. And so financing is also a pain point today. And so we decided we are going to be industrials. We are going to be the Airbus of local communities. We will integrate everything we need to integrate. We are not a lawyer, okay, but we have one. We are engineers, okay, but we are not commercial, etc. We will integrate all these skills into only one entity, and this will be the only one entity that we'll discuss with people that want to create or integrate a community. So it's much easier than just telling, no, now you're going to see the lawyer, now you're going to see the engineer, etc. And in order to really scale the solution, we also integrated the financing aspects. So we raise money with people, with banks that want to create, to invest not only on green assets, but also in social assets. I can tell you more about why social assets. And all this together, we are capable of creating communities everywhere. And as we do this every week, we do much better than people would have done themselves. So we are cheaper, quicker, and so it helps us reducing costs, and so really industrializing the model.
Wow.
itself.
Okay. Yeah, I love that. I for instance, in Alberta, where I'm at right now, actually our energy isn't that expensive. And I think that's
Yeah.
what actually surprised me, was that I see all my neighbors, and right now, if you're putting solar panels and stuff on your roof, you have to jack into the already existing grid. So the
Yeah.
thing that's kind of funny about that is this. The most expensive thing we pay for is actually the distribution and fees.
Yeah.
The distribution and fees to get the energy to my house. The energy itself is a fraction, and it drives me crazy, Raphael. It drives me nuts, because the energy use of our house is about 1/3 or less of the total cost of our energy bills. The other 2/3 are completely out of my control, and it's simply the distribution and fees.
The system. Yeah.
And it's insane, man. It's insane. In Canada right now, I can have like a $600 bill for energy, yet my usage was only $100 to $150 of that bill. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. That shows that the importance of the grid. Okay. In France, it's the other way around. It's 1/3 of the price is the grid and the fees, etc., and 2/3 is the energy itself.
Okay.
Okay. But it's really important because I don't know how it was done in Canada, but in France we have this very centralized grid, and so the grid was designed for few big nuclear power plants. Okay, and then you arrive with this decentralized solution, and so the grid is not designed to that, and so we need to invest in the grid. So this means that we need to increase the fees, etc., in order to be able to modernize the grid. But our solution, that's what is interesting, because our solution uses the public grid. We are not the electrons; they are still injected to the grid as they would have been. It's just like a virtual sharing of the energy that we do. But this allows people to understand how the grid works. Okay, so it comes from the grid, so I have this fee, etc. So people get conscious how energy works.
Yeah.
And so they not only they have the power to produce it, to decide how they share, but they understand much more how everything works, why we have this network, why it's important to have this grid working, and so. This decentralized solution, I'm not saying it should replace the centralized, the nuclear powered based grid, but they are complementary and they can help each other. Okay, because when you are self-consuming, okay, you pay much more attention to what's going on. You have this application on your cell phone. You say, okay, I have a lot of sun, I have a lot of production, so I will do something right now. Or you don't have enough sun, you want to do something right now. So you help the grid, the national grid, by knowing what's going on, by having this conscience, having the information. And when you are in collective self-consumption projects like the one we develop, we are much more people, more conscious of everything's going on. So we have this, they become teaching, or I don't know how the precise word we should say, of how the grid works and how we should all support it and help it, so we don't have blackouts or whatever due to the differences in demand and offer.
Man, we had an emergency alert last December, not this one, last December. And basically, it was kind of saying, like, shut off everything because we're about to peak the grid. And I was like, we had a fairly new baby. Like, we'd relatively just moved. We had a new baby, and I'm just thinking, like, oh my gosh, like we can't lose our heat and our power here in the middle of winter. Yeah, it's crazy. And it's scary. And I think a lot of people don't quite understand how the system works. But from what I understand, and please correct me if I'm wrong, is that storing energy is very difficult. And so, like you kind of said, it's like the power is there when the plant is on. And if the plant goes down, it's not like there's a bunch of batteries to pull the electricity from. It's like when the plant goes down, you lose power.
Exactly. And today, this is today the main difficult to make the energetic transition. The challenge with the green energies, wind or sun, is that you cannot control them. Okay, you produce when you have wind, you produce when you have sun, or when you have water, whatever. It's not like a carbon or a fuel-based power plant that you can control easily. And so, yeah, you need to either adjust your demand or your offer. Okay, so it's complicated to adjust your offer. So the very first step we must do is to adapt our demand. So people must know how everything works. People should have enough information so they can make the good decisions. And it's very complicated when the production is coming from whatever power plant in north of France. It's much easier when it's coming from literally from your neighbor. Okay, so you just look at the window. Okay, there's sun. I go to the application. I have production. I have power.
Yeah.
So I can charge my car. Okay, or the other way around. I know tomorrow it's gonna be rainy, and I have a surplus of production right now. So I will charge my car right now. So this is the very first step that we can take to help the ecological transition. And so the green energy deployment is being capable of adapting our demand. And so this is kind of easy to do. Then, of course, we need some storage equipment like batteries or whatever in order to really take this step. But this first one is almost for free, right? And the second benefit of doing these communities is that when you take care of, when you have the information, how much you are producing, how much you are consuming, and you are tracking everything. Actually, you get to know much better how you consume. Actually, how much it costs to light one light or whatever, or your PlayStation or whatever you light. And so actually, you are much more sober because you take care. You make some. Okay, I don't need to consume all of this right now because actually I can do it later, and later you have more energy, and actually you end up of consuming less energy. And so this is also another way of helping the grid, and this is also another way of helping the ecological transition is to consume less energy. And the final one, if you don't mind, as with this business model that allow everyone to create their own communities and to share the benefits, so you have more green energy that's been producing, and so you can start finally replacing fossil fuels by electricity. I have an example: 300 people city in the north of France. So the mayor decided that he would create a local community in his town. Installed a couple of, a little bit more than a couple, but some of solar panels, and he decided to share the electricity among his buildings. So he makes some savings for the town.
Yeah.
And then he had some surplus. He decided to install some electric vehicles chargers and give the electricity free to people in the town. So the people now they have access to this free electricity, but they are aware of how much that costs and what are the consequences. So they didn't start consuming more energy, but they started replacing old cars by new electrical cars with electricity. They started installing themselves solar panels because the structure that we created in there allow people to share electricity among them. So okay, you have some you don't use all your energy because you are in the office all the entire week, but at least you can sell them to your neighbors, just close door. And so now they are very, so not only they have this green energy and they have electrified their economy, but they discuss it, they see each other much more. So they do some parties, etc.
Yeah.
So it became a kind of way of meeting and gathering. And so not only we have this ecological and economical assets, but also social. And I think that's very important. And this is an association. So people decide how they share energy. They decide what's the price.
Yeah.
They decide on how they share it. So it's democracy. And by the times we are living, I don't think that's not true. That's enough. So yeah, that's why I wanted to industrialize this model, because I see a lot of benefits that could bring to the economy.
Okay. One of the things that I'm just questioning a little bit is, does this operate separate from the already existing grid then? Or do you tie it into the existing grid?
No, the objective is not to be in autarky. The objective is not to be closed between people, is to open. So the objective is to see, hi, hello guys, see what we're doing, you are free to come. And actually in France, you are not allowed to subtract yourself from the grid. So,
Okay.
So the objective is not to say we have this community and stay together and that's our business and you have nothing to do, whatever happens elsewhere. No, the objective is say we can take part of our electricity, we can create it on ours locally, and we can decide locally what we do with it. We can use to bring doctors to the city, for instance. Sometimes in France, in rural areas, we don't have doctors because they don't want to come. And so I have met some mayors that said, okay, we will create our own community and we will give electricity for free for doctors that come to our city.
Okay.
So actually, generating power it's not anymore the objective. It's a mean of doing something else. And this something else is solidarity, is sovereignty, is local richness being created. And so, no, we don't want to stay between ourselves. We want to open to everyone else and say that, hey guys, let's work together.
I like the idea of the doctor, of essentially using energy as an incentive. Like, hey, come stay in our town and you'll get energy. Like, that's kind of cool, man. That's the first time I've ever heard of anything like that.
Sometimes the very small towns in France, they don't have any the bakery anymore. They don't have nothing anymore, and so we can decide to say, okay, if you stay, we will help you decreasing your costs by providing you local green and cheap energy. So yeah, that's a mean of doing something, and something is to be decided by the people there in that territory. It's not to be imposed by anyone in Paris. That's the objective.
Yeah. Wow, that's super cool, dude. So bring me into where you're at with this. Obviously, it's a pretty big undertaking. Are you looking for investment support? How could our listeners potentially help you today?
Yeah, so we have a few projects that are already in operation. Okay, we have a lot that we have been working on. I mean, they are in the conception phase. And today, Sunbiose, to accelerate, we need some funds. We need to raise money, and this is where we are today on the road. We are looking for investors indeed who want to invest on us, so we can invest on this project. So it's kind of different. It's not a regular startup model of. I would say we are not raising money to burn cash to develop something. We have already developed everything we need to. We have spent, that's what we have done for the past 2 years. Everything is in place and we have the first clients, the customers. We have a very good traction from the field, but we need money to accelerate. And so, yeah, we are looking for investors in France, whatever, in Canada, who share the same vision than was our vision, is that this energy transition should not be something that is imposed, should not be something that's bad for everyone. You need to go to school on horses, etc. That's not at all our view. Our view is that in order to do that transition, we cannot look only to the technology and to the way how we produce energy. We also need to look at how we consume, how we share, because energy is the base of economics, right? So it cannot be owned by a few only. So what we propose actually is to change a lot, the basis of our society. Okay, more decentralization, more democracy, more citizen participation, etc. And this is our view. And so, if you need to change the society, let's do something better. Okay, let's do something that's more equity, that's more open, that's more peaceful. And so, this is our view. And so, we are looking for investors that share this view, who wants to indeed not only make some money, but also help producing more ecological energy, and also who wants to make some more social benefits for everyone. The transition cannot work if it only benefits a few. It must benefit everyone. And so that's Sunbiose's mission. So make an ecological transition, energetic transition, if I can be more precise, that is beneficial for everyone. If ever there are, I don't know, investors or any kind of entrepreneurs that have some good ideas that are hearing us right now and want to help us achieving this mission, I would be very glad to get a virtual coffee, actually, at least for the beginning, and discuss with them how we could work together. Yeah.
Amazing. What would be the best way for our listeners to get in touch with you?
Yeah, they can reach me out in LinkedIn. I'm really presenting LinkedIn, and we have also our website where we can drop a message for the contact, or I can write to myself, Raphael at sunbiose.fr. I can give you the address, and it would be a pleasure for me to discuss with everyone, because I know this model we are trying to develop. We are developing exists in France, exists in Europe. It might exist somewhere else, and I would be very happy if ever in Canada someone wants to create or to push for government to make it possible to help those people doing that. With our experience here, France is a very complicated country with a lot of laws, so I'm sure that anywhere else in planet would be easier, and they can count on as well on us. We will be able to help building this model. For me, it's humanity. I mean, the values we defend, the values we put in this project, I think they are universal, and they are compatible with every culture, and they can be very useful everywhere. And I really want to see communities and people sharing and deciding their own energetic future on their own everywhere in this country and in this planet.
Amazing. Amazing. For all of our listeners, I will make sure that your LinkedIn profile, Raphael, and your email are in the show notes and in our posts for this. So if you want to get a hold of him, please do. He's exceptional. Raphael, what an amazing conversation. Thanks for coming on with us today.
Well, I thank you, Kelly, really very much. I hope people will get some values from our discussion. It was again very nice to discuss with you. I hope one day I will be able to come to Canada and can grab a beer or two together. It will be a pleasure for me. But meanwhile, we stay in touch, and a pleasure for me to be with you. And if anyone wants to get in touch to discuss some about energy, entrepreneurship, or even aircraft, it would be a pleasure.
Amazing. Amazing. That takes us to the end, my friend. Until next time, you've been listening to the Business Development Podcast, and we'll catch you on the flip side.
This has been the Business Development Podcast with Kelly Kennedy. Kelly has 15 years in sales and business development experience within the Alberta oil and gas industry and founded his own business development firm in 2020. His passion and his specialization is in customer relationship generation and business development. The show is brought to you by Capital Business Development, your business development specialists. For more, we invite you to the website at www.capitalbd.ca. See you next time on the Business Development Podcast.